Houseplants have become quite popular lately, and whether you already have houseplants or are just getting into the trend and have recently purchased one, I want to show you a way to add a little more personality to your houseplants this winter. Now, houseplants are becoming more popular for a good reason. They often improve the air quality that's around us, and often they soften the harsh landscape that's surrounding us in our home. A lot of times we're surrounded by artificial stuff, so we just want to bring a little nature into our environment, and houseplants are a good way to do that. Now, we've got a couple of examples here of some traditional houseplants, and usually when you purchase them, they might come in a nice decorative container. And a lot of times they don't have anything around the top of them. So today we're going to talk about soil toppers. Now this is something that we really call it just for houseplants. Outdoors, a lot of times we mention the benefits of having mulch on our landscape. And there's several different reasons why we put mulch in our outdoor landscapes. One of those reasons is to reduce the amount of evaporation. Now, houseplants being inside don't have the direct sunlight to them, so we don't really have that much of a concern of the evaporation out of our houseplants. So that's not why we're adding soil toppers. What we are looking to do, though, is to prevent splashing. A lot of times when you water outside, you're watering and the water will splash up, often causing that soil to splash up on the plant as well. So when you water your houseplants, you have that same concern. You'll often use a stream of water and it can erode that soil around your roots, which will then dry out those roots faster. Or if there is that splashing, a lot of times that is a way to introduce pathogens onto those leaves of your plants. So keeping a cleaner look by adding a soil topper, that will help reduce that splashing. Another benefit for adding mulch outdoors is to improve the soil over time as that mulch breaks down. So typically when we're talking about landscape mulch, we use something like shredded hardwood mulch or pine bark or even cottonseed hulls, something that will eventually degrade and break down. Now, you can use these to add around your houseplants if you want. You might have leftovers, and so that'll work just fine to keep that splashing down. The big difference, though, is you're not necessarily trying to improve the soil in your houseplants. Houseplants are planted in an artificial environment with potting soil, which isn't even true topsoil. So you're not necessarily looking to improve that soil. After all, once this plant does outgrow this container, you'll repot it in new potting soil. And also, again, if you deplete the nutrients in here, you can easily add fertilizer. That's often not the same maintenance that you would do in outdoor landscapes. So again, you can use the same mulch if you have it left over and you want that look, but sometimes you want a little bit more of a polished look indoors. And so for that, because we're not trying to improve the soil, that opens a whole nother range of things that you can use as soil toppers around your houseplants, such as glass beads. Beads come in an array of colors, so you can really play up the theme that might be in your office or in your home. If you have a teenage girl, you could get pink beads to help decorate her room. Now, I know a lot of times people use rock in the landscape, but like I said, I'm not really a fan of using rock because that doesn't break down and improve your soil. But since we're talking about a house plant, you could use something like some aquarium rock that often is colored as well. So you could get like a neon green or pink if you wanted something really kind of festive. Now for a more organic look, if you wanted to, you can also use Spanish moss and apply that around the base of that plant. So again, it's just going to kind of give it that nice sort of neat, clean look. It will help reduce the splashing of the water and again, help a little bit with some of that evaporation. You always want to make sure that you kind of lift that away so that you can tell if your plant does need water though. Another option, if you want to add a little more theme to it versus just the color, is something like seashells. You can get some seashells. You can either buy these at a hobby store or perhaps you've collected some. This often will really look nice in a bathroom especially. And again, depending on what the theme of your pot is, you might get colored seashells to kind of play up that theme as well. These are, of course, smaller houseplants, but it might be that you have some larger houseplants, and a lot of times those houseplants can get top heavy because they like to be in a small, tight root base. So if you have a plant that is taller and maybe a little bit top heavier, that's an opportunity for you to also display some of your rock collection. So if you have some large chunks of glass or some other special rocks that you've collected on your vacations, that's a good opportunity to put those in those houseplants to give them a special location. Now, the other thing that we often talk about in the wintertime with houseplants is we want to make sure that they're not put in a drafty location because they can dry out. So put them in an area where they're not exposed to drafts, either open doors or heat vents. However, we do know that a lot of times in the wintertime, our house air can get a little dry, which makes our skin itch. So if you're looking for a kind of a 2-for-1 solution, if you have house plants that we know when we water them, we want to make sure that they drain freely. Now this does come with a saucer that will catch that water, but a lot of times house plants have holes in them, so they're going to need to drain. So getting a tray like this will allow that water to drain out. If you were to just set these in here, you want to make sure that you empty this tray so that the plant is not setting in the water. However, another solution would be to fill it again with some decorative rock that perhaps maybe you've either harvested out of your garden path or you've purchased. Put some of that rock in that tray and then place your house plants on top of that. When you water these, the water will drain out, but it'll sit in that tray, allowing it to evaporate over the next few days, which will add humidity into your dry winter air. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.